Welcome back to America's Voice Live. I'm Tudor Dixon alongside Matt Locke. And as promised, we have Gavin Wax with us. He is the president of the New York Young Republicans Club. Gavin, we want to bring you in and we want to show a video of you because it is playing in stark contrast to what we see so many young people out there protesting today. But you were at the New York Museum of Natural History protesting a little differently. So I want to play that video now.
And they tell us they're going to do everything we promised, and they never, ever deliver. I don't care what party they are, Democrat or Republican. We got plenty of weak, limp-wristed Republicans in office who do nothing. Where are they? Where are they for our statues? Where are they for our flag? Where are they for our police officers? Nowhere. I don't care what letter is next to your name. If you're not defending this country, you don't get my vote. I hope as well they don't get your vote. Yeah.
Gavin, it's something we have asked on this program multiple times. Where are the Republicans who are condemning this? We don't see them, but we also have not heard from a lot of young people. So I want you to explain what you're doing and what kind of success you're seeing doing it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me, guys. And you said it right. Where are our leaders? I mean, we're constantly searching for them, and they seem to be hiding behind polling and going to cocktail parties and getting accepted in the press when there is a silent majority out there that wants to see action from them, that wants to see real leadership, young and old. And it's missing, and they're missing in action. And it's a sad state of affairs for our country that someone as popular as our 26th president had no defenders until the grassroots rose up and decided to make a stand then and there. And this is about more than just one statue, though. This is about all of American history. This is about this leftist woke cult seeking to erase our past and build this new dystopian future. And it's absolute shame that we're letting this happen.
So, Gavin, I have to ask you, you're a young fella. You know, what motivated you to not only be conservative, but to head down the path that you're currently on?
Well, I mean, do a lot of reading, just be a free thinker and engage with different people of different opinions, and you'll probably end up holding the views I do, and I'm sure you guys do as well. It's simple as that, but I think a lot of young people are waking up. We've had an outpour of support from millions of Americans across this country. I mean, the video went viral, and we've received donations, we've received memberships, we've just had tons of people fawning over what's happening because there's a real demand for some leadership and a real demand for a fight. And they don't want to see our country go quietly into the night. They want to see us defend what's right, defend our values, defend our history, defend our culture. And by doing that, you're going to get a big audience, and you're going to succeed, and your message is going to carry forward.
Gavin, I think we've heard so many times about the silent majority, and it seems as though it's growing and growing. Over the past 3 weeks, the walkaway campaign has grown by the tens of thousands. But we have another interesting situation that happened in North Carolina where Madison Cawthorn, who's 25 years old, he won a race against Linda Bennett, and she's kind of what some people say is the swamp, you know, but Trump endorsed her. She was at one point anti-Trump. She was an anti-Trumper, and Trump came out and endorsed her. But now this Madison Cawthorn, only 25 years old, he is a pro-Trump kid. He's really aggressive. Is this what we need to see? Do we need to see these younger people coming out? It seemed to work for the Democrats when AOC came out. She has a lot of support. Is this what needs to happen? Folks like you, folks like Madison, have to get involved in government and start turning this around so that we can get back the country that we're losing so quickly.
Absolutely, and what Madison did was phenomenal, and God bless him and what he's doing. He's standing up for our countries. He's a real fighter. He's a real conservative, and he's what North Carolina needs right now. And his fight against the establishment needs to be replicated across this country. I don't necessarily think it's about age, but I think it's about values. He happens to be a young firebrand, and he happens to hold right-wing conservative values that put this country first, and that's what really won him the election. And people are sick of, you know, people who just speak in platitudes and just say consultant-approved lines, you know, over and over behind a fake smile. They want someone who's going to come out, be real, come from the ground up, and really stand for something and show some passion, which he did in his race. And that simple strategy, that simple formula will help us win races across this country.
So, Gavin, let's talk about the cultural impact of what's happening today with the progressive, with the socialist agenda, let's say, of the new Green Deal and Ocasio-Cortez and the younger liberal Democrats. You know, first of all, they control Hollywood, they control the mainstream media, they control a lot of the outlets in this country. How do you break through?
It's a fight that we need to do incrementally, and it's a bunch of little battles that'll end up winning this war. I think, with what my organization is doing, the New York Young Republican Club, we're building a social fabric here in the belly of the beast, in this left-wing dominated city, where people from all backgrounds can come together and have social networks and have a way for them to project their feelings, project their passions, and able to engage in grassroots activism, hear different speakers, and learn more about our movement, which has a great fundamental ideological base to it. We need to create these civically engaged grassroots movements across the country, because if we're looking solely to the party or solely to politicians, we're going to fail. The left does this. The left has massive infrastructure, massive networks across this country to engage their shock troops and to brainwash and radicalize their youth wing. I'm not saying we have to do that, but we should certainly respond with a strong base of infrastructure, of growth, and connecting people, because there's a lot of disparate conservatives out there, even in a place like New York. And if once they're united, like we were on Sunday with over 200 patriots, then our voices are heard and we can't be stopped.
When you look at New York City and you see what's going on there, because there is massive division right now, you have a police department that many people are calling to defund. Now there has been a shift in $1 billion, and folks are criticizing de Blasio over that and saying that's not enough. It was faulty math. You have AOC coming out and saying that this is taking books out of the hands of children. But how do groups like yours fight against this? Or does your group not necessarily think it's a bad idea to defund the police? What is your stance on that?
Oh, it's an absolutely horrible idea. Our police are on the front lines in this cultural war. They are the last line of defense, protecting us against barbarism. And our city has a cyclical nature because we continue to forget the past. We forget the pre-Giuliani years of crime and assaults and murder and absolute anarchy. And it's the fault of our own people here that seem very blasé about how bad things used to be, because we've been so spoiled for so long. And these police, they're underpaid heroes. They protect their communities. They come from the communities. These are working class guys from the outer boroughs. I mean, and they are just absolutely being spat on, and they're taking the vitriol of these insane leftists who are completely out of touch with what the American people want, with what New Yorkers want. 60% of New Yorkers do not want to see this budget cut. We need to be giving them raises, if anything, to deal with this rise in crime, with this bail reform that is putting criminals out on the street. Our DAs, our district attorneys, they throw the book at cops. They throw the book at conservatives for defending themselves. But then when you got people like who have 100 prior incidences and a rap sheet going back years, they get to walk and commit more crimes.
So, Gavin, we've got a couple minutes left, and we talked about Republicans in both the House and the Senate who are not saying a thing. Are they afraid to say something, unlike you, which is amazing to listen to a young man like yourself actually say the things you're saying, but are they afraid, for one? And then at the end here, tell everybody where they can find you and how they can help your cause.
Thank you. And yes, they absolutely are afraid. They have no backbone. They have no spine. They live off the taxpayer dollar. They get comfy pensions. They get their health care. They get all their benefits. And all we ask for them in return for this great gig of theirs to work in Congress is to stand up for us, to defend our values, to fight for America. And they leave us high and dry all the time. And they don't care about us. They don't care about our values. They just want to be liked by the press. They want to get invited to the DC cocktail circuit. And then it's up to a motley crew of working class New Yorkers to show up in the scorching heat to stand for our flag, to stand for our anthem, and stand for our police. I mean, that's a sad state of affairs. We elect them every year. They should be challenged. They should be called out. And again, I'm a proud Republican. I'm a proud conservative, but I have no problem calling out these weak Republicans who do nothing for us. And they continue to get elected year in, year out. And as far as following me, you can follow me on Twitter at Gavin Wax, Facebook at Gavin Wax. Our club is at NYYRC and www.nyyrc.com. We promise to continue the fight. We won't back down. We won't cower in the face of the mob.
Well, Gavin Wax, thank you so much. New York Young Republicans, wow, it is absolutely refreshing to hear that come from young people. I mean, Tudor, that's the one thing that terrifies me in this country today, and I talk about it all of the time. Where are the next generation? Because, I always tell this story. My grandfather, who fought in World War II, you know, he worried about my father's generation, who was going to step forward. My father, who was in Vietnam, always worried about my generation, who's going to step forward. And now I am here today looking 46 straight down the barrel here in 20 days. And I think to myself, who's going to come forward? Where is the next generations of Tudor Dixons and Matt Locke's and America's Voice News and the conservative ideology that we need? And he's so right. He said something that hits home with me. I am a conservative. I really don't. I'm more of a libertarian than even a Republican. And I have no problem calling out these weak-kneed, spineless Republicans who, quite frankly, should be on top of the building screaming about the flag being dishonored and what's going on in our college institutions. It's refreshing, Tudor.
Yeah, young guy, but he had some great insight into these folks who are just really calling them socialites. You know, he's saying they want to be invited to the dinner parties. They want to be media darlings. And you see a lot of these Republicans out there and Democrats, and that's exactly what they're doing. They go into Washington, they get sucked in. The swamp is a real thing. They get sucked into that. And they're not necessarily fighting. We have some folks on here who do fight. We have Bill Huizenga. We have Congressman Massey. Those congressmen, we know they're fighting hard, but it's hard to find. And that's why we like to bring them on to America's Voice Live, so that you can see the people who are fighting. But it sounds like Gavin will also be fighting for us. Don't go away. We have Dave Roberts up next. He is author, and he's an author and CEO of Telegistics. It's going to be an interesting conversation. We'll be right back here on America's Voice Live.